Okay, so in this last leg, we're just gonna take a little bit of a look at the gradient tool and how you can manipulate it to make gradients that are a little bit more custom for whatever it is that you're illustrating. So for the fox, for example, you can see there's kind of a blanket gradient that we applied to all four shapes, and the gradient is sort of behaving the same on all parts of the fox, but you might not want it to necessarily do that. You might want the gradient that's applied to the fox to, behave differently. So I'm going to go to my layers panel. I'm going to actually lock the turtle. I oftentimes like to just lock everything but the layer I'm working with, just to make it so that I'm not accidentally selecting stuff that I don't want to select. I'm going to shut visibility off of the fox illustration underneath. Now, go ahead and select whatever part of the fox you want. I'm going to select the big body part of the fox. And with that selected, if you click on the gradient panel, if you don't see this, you just go to Window and Gradient. It's right here. You can see that, yes, you can go ahead and manipulate this gradient in a couple of different ways. So the first thing you can do is you can double click on this little circle right here, and it's going to bring up your color picking choices here. You can kind of go in and manipulate, like maybe I want a darker red instead of more of a yellow, or more of a yellow, or what have you. So you can do it that way. The other thing that you can do, also, by the way, you have these little diamonds up here that you can move around, making your gradient behave in different ways. Remember, you have to have something selected to affect it. So if you've selected something and you're moving the gradient around and it's not changing, somehow it became unselected. That's usually the case. I'm going to go ahead and pull my swatches panel off for a moment. And I wonder if I'm able to pick a new color. Oh, it just pops it off the gradient. Okay. Well, anyways, you can do a lot of manipulation here. You can come into your swatches here by clicking on swatch. So I could pick a totally different color for the middle. And then I can double click on the end here. And I can pick, let's say, blue instead. That didn't really work. Blue, there we go. And now I have this like really kind of nice rainbow gradient. Okay, so let's say I have this really nice rainbow gradient here, and I really like this gradient and I want to save it. All I need to do is take the gradient from this window and click down and drag it into the swatches panel, and you're going to see the gradient there. So let's say I've decided, you know what, I really want to use this gradient on the head of the fox as well. I can just choose it, and I can use that to fill my artwork. Now, it's not necessarily going to work as is for all of my artwork here. So what you can do is you can actually edit the gradient from within the particular object. So I've got the fox's head selected here. I don't really like what's going on. I can move things around here if I want, but you can also choose Edit Gradient. And you can actually edit the gradient right on the object, like so. And you can really make it specifically custom for that particular shape. So let's say I'm done with that one. I'm going to come down here and select the leg now. I'm going to hit Edit Gradient. And let's say I, for whatever reason, want this to be really, really pink. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out a little bit. So that is how you can edit the gradients, which is really, really nice. Now for the turtle, we're going to do something. We are going to choose, now remember the details of the shell are grouped together. So we're going to come over here and choose that group, which I can't because I locked my layer. So I'm going to lock the layer for the fox now, unlock the turtle, and I'm going to select the group of the shell details here. And then I am I'm going to go ahead and open the gradient library again, and I'll just choose something. Go ahead and choose whatever you'd like. I'm not really sure. I think I'll just go with color harmonies. So here's color harmonies. They're pretty hard to see. I'll go ahead and make those bigger real quick. So I am just going to choose something that will kind of work, kind of a yellow, what I already have selected. Let's go with this yellow-green. So I've got that selected, and it applies the gradient to everything in my group, which is super cool. Bring up the gradient editor in all of these different shapes to individualize them. How you're going to do that is in your layers panel, go ahead and select the group, or you can just select the group by clicking on one of them. And then over here in your tool panel, you're going to double click the gradient tool, and that is what's going to bring up that individual. There's other ways to bring it up, but that's the way to definitely do it for sure. So let's do something else then. Let's go ahead and click off of that, and I'm going to select the turtle's body, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to go ahead and apply this yellow-green gradient, but I'm going to switch the yellow at the end to be a different shade of green, and this one in the center to be, let's just say, I'll just do a really dark shade of green, something like that. Okay, so now that I have the turtle and a gradient, I'm going to select the turtle's body shape, and I'm going to double click, or just click on once, I suppose, the gradient tool here, and you're going to see the gradient bar pops up for that particular shape. And you can add gradient marks here. So you see how I hover over the bar, I can add, and you can edit colors from here as well. So let's say, oh, I've decided that the turtle's gonna have a little bit of pink, and then I can further edit that. So that's the way that you can edit the gradient tool. Actually, I do wanna show you this because this is really cool. So you see how you have the gradient bar going across. You can also choose circular gradient here, and you'll have your gradient tools pop up. But there's also something called transform, free transform gradient. So if you click on that, you're gonna see that you are able to actually go in and move the gradient tool around in areas of the shape. And this is probably the coolest of the gradient tools. There's also a little circle around it, and you can click and drag and pull that in and out. You can also add points within the shape as well to make really specific gradient areas for that particular shape. And this is a really powerful tool. It's really nice. Okay, so those are your basics of gradient. Actually gonna change this to let's change it to green because the turtle's green. All right, well, it is time to wrap the tutorial up. So what I'm gonna have you do is go ahead and export these two small illustrations. We are going to export JPEG images of our artboards. And to do that, you're going to go to File, Export, Export As. Now, previously we've exported them as PDFs, but today we're going to do JPEGs to practice another type of file. So you're going to go to JPEG. You are going to check Use Artboards because you want these to export as separate JPEGs. You're going to choose All, and you can call them whatever you like. Illustrations, I suppose. Okay. And then we're going to hit Export, and you can leave everything here as is. Go ahead and hit OK. And then what you should have are two. All right, and then you should have two JPEGs to upload and turn in. One should have the fox, and one should have the turtle. All right, that's it.